Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Basement Card Collector. Today's video is going to be the fourth episode of my magic numbers of the MLB. In today's video, you can see it here, we're going to be looking at the 3,000 hit club. And if you're thinking about the 3,000 hit club, you might be wondering how many players are in that club. If you guessed, would you guess 33? Because I didn't. I was thinking somewhere around the 20s. I was kind of shocked to find there were 33 players in this club. And so what I've been doing is going through my collection, trying to dig out a card or two of each player and putting them in the order which they rank from lowest in the 3,000 hit club up to the all-time record leader. And just before we start here, I would like to say that after digging and reading and I'll be honest, I was kind of shocked by some of the folks that were in this club and then some that were not. Like, for example, Mr. Babe Ruth, Mr. Lou Gehrig, Barry Bonds. Some of the players that are just outside of that 3,000 hit club have like 2,947 or 40 something. Mr. Frank Robinson. So when you think of the all-time greats, there is no Joe DiMaggio. There's no Mickey Mantle. And some of the famous players from the past, which are superstars, without a doubt, they just didn't hang around long enough to get 3,000 hits. So what I'd like to do today is showcase all members of the 3,000 hit club, starting at the very bottom. I say that with like it's a bad thing. I'm sorry, that's not right. Starting at number 3,000 and working our way up from the bottom of the list to the top of the list. So here we go. Starting out in 33rd place is a guy named Mr. Roberto Clemente. This is the card I had of him when I was just starting the 87 Topps Turn Back the Clock. And I thought, man, that's a super cool card. And when I first started, I thought 1972 sounded like a million years ago. And later on in life, I picked up the 1973 Topps. And for people that know, that's the year. I mean, it's a very cool card and a sad card altogether. If you can see that through the penny sleeve there, he ended his career with exactly 3,000 hits, and he's the only player to do so. So he has 3,000 right on the button. So Roberto Clemente, we're going to slide him back here by Mr. Dawson. Moving into 32nd place, Detroit Tiger all-time great Mr. Al Kaline, 3,007. 3,007 hits for Mr. Al Kaline. In 31st place, now again, this kind of bums me out, but when I think of the player with 3,010 hits, I think of this guy right here, Mr. Wade Boggs on the 83 Topps. This is his rookie card, and when he got his 3,000th hit, you probably do know, this is what he looked like, a Tampa Bay Devil Ray. And so this will be the first player. If I did find a card that had the actual 3,000 hit mentioned on the card, this is it. Wade Boggs as a Tampa Devil Ray back then. I like the 83 Topps, but when he collected the 3,000, he was a Devil Ray. Moving on to 30th place. He's the only player I couldn't find, Mr. Cap Anson. 3,011 hits. He played back in the before I had cards, but I still thought I would have a reprint something. That's not true. So here I have my one-of-one Cap Anson card. Not exactly the reindeer studio quality of Doodle, but here I have a Cap Anson with 3,011 hits in 30th place all time. Moving into 29th place. Here we go. Mr. Rafael Palmeiro. 87 Topps. There's our first Cubby mention. And I do love these Topps Kids cards. I'm actually kind of working on the set. I'm maybe 70% of the way, but Rafael Palmeiro. Moving into our second Cubby mention, 28th place, 3,023 hits. 3 hits ahead of Rafi Palmeiro, Mr. Lou Brock. And I have a couple older cards of his, but I do love these Sports Illustrated, these autograph cards. Super cool way to get a great player, Hall of Famer, 3,000 hit club member, 3,023 hits for Mr. Lou Brock. Moving into 27th place, 3,053 hits, Mr. Rod Carew. And And I pulled out this 78 Topps All-Star. Love the red, white, and blue logo. And then here on the 86 Fleer, commemorating that 3,000 hit, him as a California Angel. Mr. Rod Carew. 26th place, 3,055 hits. And I chose two kind of off, not mentioned, not shown much of his cards. Mr. Ricky Henderson. Got a great smile on this upper deck card. This is the 10th anniversary team, all-decade team. And when he was a 3,000 hit member, he was a San Diego Padre. I saw, and if you can read it here, it's kind of shiny, but it's also very small. He had his 3,000th hit on the final day of the 2001 season, I want to say, but it was Tony Gwynn's last baseball game, so it was like Tony Gwynn Day, and shocker to nobody, Ricky kind of stole the spotlight, picking up his 3,000th hit. So I think of him as an Oakland A and a Yankee, but at the end of his career, he kind of stuck onto a few teams here. But Ricky Henderson is 26th place all-time with 3,055 hits. 25th place, moving him just ahead of him with 3,060, Mr. Craig Biggio. Lifetime Astro. Started out as a catcher, moved into the center field a little bit. Second base is where he picked up all of those hits. Here he is on the classic 1989 Topps. And here he's sitting on 26 hits. So he'd go on to get almost, about 3,000 more hits after that. So there's Mr. Craig Biggio. Right in front of him, technically, he's our first active player, Mr. Miggy Cabrera. This is him as a young Marlin on the 04 rookie card. Here he's sitting on 87 games played and 84 hits. So he goes on to about 3,004 more hits before he gets to that magic number. And he sets in 24th place all time. What a stud. And my 23rd place, the member in 23rd place. And really, I'm not big into asterisks, but this guy, if there's such a person that needs an asterisk to show something means a little more, here I got a couple. This is the Bazooka rookie card for Mr. Ichiro. First game, 157, 242 hits as a rookie. He picked up the Rookie of the Year that year. Here he is as a Fleer. He has a heck of a cannon. Look up some of his throws on YouTube. My word. Here are the Gold Cup Topps. And it's a Topps Chrome. But Ichiro, like we say here, is in 23rd place, which is excellent. But then you throw on the fact that he had 3,089 hits in the MLB plus 1,278 hits. That equals 4,357. Now, if you don't know who's leading this list, when I get to the top, I'm going to come back to Mr. Ichiro for that asterisk. But as it sits, he is in 23rd place all-time in the MLB. 22nd place, 3,110 hits in the MLB. I picked out a pretty cool 75 Topps, Mr. Dave Winfield. And as he went through his career, Yankees, Angels, Blue Jays, but when he picked up that 3,000 hit, he was a Minnesota Twin, and here he is on the 94 Stadium Club, knocking through. I think it was a single, if I believe, kind of poked through the middle there. Mr. Dave Winfield. Love him, hate him, like him, love him. The guy has 3,115 hits. And I just pulled out a 94 upper deck, Mr. Alex Rodriguez. He is 21st all-time. To go along with those 600 bombs and 2,000 ribbies, Alex Rodriguez. Whoa. 20th place, top 20 all-time. I picked two shiny cards. I could have chosen his 83 Topps, but check out this shine. Pinnacle. Kiddos, look up Pinnacle. They don't make this set anymore or this brand anymore, but man, they had some of the coolest inserts ever. The museum collection here on I just chose two shiny Pinnacles just because the man could hit. One of the first, sounds like one of the first players to really take advantage of videotaping his at-bats, checking them out during the game, making adjustments, and the guy could just hit. He has since passed away, of course, but Mr. Tony Gwynn in 20th place, 3,141 hits. How about this? One hit higher than Tony Gwynn, Mr. Robin Yount. And what you have here is this upper deck. If you remember seeing this card, it was Yount hits 3,000 on one side, and Mr. George Brett does the same thing. So they kind of made those SP cards in the upper deck. And then this is the same thing, a Robin Yount Stadium Club mentioning the 3,000 hit club. So one hit more than Mr. Tony Gwynn is Mr. Robin Yount. Going into my reprint selection here, 3,152, Mr. Paul Wainer. Old School Pirate, 3,152, Mr. Paul Wainer. I chose two really, I'm really kind of proud of these two cards we have here. 17th place, 3,154, Mr. Royal, Mr. George Brett. It's one of the coolest cards I have, the 75 Topps. I actually scored this in a grab bag from a flea market. You can see it has some tape marks where someone probably had it in a, almost like a photo album, it kind of appears. I mean, I don't care, but that's just a super cool card. And how about this for cool? A 1975 Topps George Brett SSPC 1975. And I have no idea what that is or means or what, but I just think what a great photo of a great hitter. Also from that 75 year. I'm going to set that right beside the rookie card for now. But 16th place, probably a first ballot Hall of Famer next year, Mr. Adrian Beltre. Did you remember that he had 3,000 hits? 3,166. Only 15 players in history have more hits than Mr. Adrian Beltre. Here he is as a super young Dodger third baseman. Right in front of him, and again, I chose two kind of not so often shown cards. When you see cards of Cal Ripken, it's the 82 Topps, it's the 82 traded. I just picked two of my favorite looking Ripken cards. That Dream Team score, the Iron Horse background, and then here he is on the Topps celebrating the breaking of the Lou Gehrig streak. Guys, that happened in 1995. I remember watching that like it just happened, and that's a long time ago. Cal Ripken. Right in front of Cal Ripken in 14th place. Nap LaJoie or LaJoie, I've heard it, and I don't really know. Maybe Mr. Reindeer Studios can help me out there, but Cleveland all-timer, 3,252 hits. And this is the reprint, of course, of the Gaudy card. But anyway, I tried to find an actual photo of him in this Fleer Great set. That was kind of cool to find. Moving on into 13th place. Man, come on. This guy is... Oh, I just feel like this guy needs some more love here. Eddie Murray. Here I chose this because of that sweet, almost garbage bag-like sleeve he's wearing underneath. And just enjoy the facial hair of Eddie Murray. Look at that mustache. That runs all the way back into the chops, into the cool, awesome hair. 84 Fleer. And I chose a Mr. Dick Perez Diamond King as a Met. And then just him as the Hall of Fame. The guy is in the 3,000 hit club and the 500 home run club. Mr. Eddie Murray. Moving on into 12th place. 3,293 hits. I found this pretty cool starting lineup of Mr. Willie Mays. Got the nickname down there. And my closest to playing days Willie Mays card. That deckled edge. Number 33 of 33. So I know very little about this other than it just looks super cool. That's Mr. Willie Mays. I'm going to get him over here. Actually, we're going to leave him on the outside. Mr. Willie Mays. Boys and girls, we're going to 11th place all time. 3,308 hits. Mr. Albert Pujols. Got him on the Rookie Topps card. Super cool. This was him before he even had any major league totals. And obviously, if this is his last season, he is, he's still just retired, he says. What an all-timer for sure. Willie Mays, Albert Pujols, 10th place, people. The top 10 of all time in Major League Baseball. 10th place, did you know? 3,315 belongs to a man named Eddie Collins. And again, I almost feel bad for these players from the past. The photos, of course, are hard to find a young-looking Eddie Collins here, but the man obviously could hit. Here he looks like he might be in his 60s or 70s, maybe playing in an old-timers game, maybe coming out of the cornfields at the Field of Dreams. 10th place, okay? 9 people have more hits than this guy. We're cruising on into 9th place all time, 3,319. And I found a pretty cool card of Paul Molitor. It actually is commemorating the 3,000. You can see it there. But he is a Minnesota Twin on this card. Just in front of him in 8th place, 3,400 hits, 3,419. I found a cool card. I really love these Fleer Greats. And I like them just because the same way you do, you get a chance to see all their stats on the back. I mean, seriously, that guy, all for the Red Sox, the Yaz, the Triple Crown winner. And then so I've been picking up some of these older, I say older, 1970, but it's got Killebrew, and then there's the Yaz there for the home run leader. Pretty cool. Speaking of cards that only make you look like you're old and elderly, number 7, Hannes Wagner. Here is a Baseball Greats, the Swell set. That's that's what he looked like, Hannes Wagner. And then here is my very official reprint of the famous card. And I like this because he even mentions the year it's been reprinted down there, 1995, Mr. Hannes Wagner. Moving in to the top 6. Did you know that this man who's just recently, a few years ago retired, the captain, Mr. Yankee in my time, Derek Jeter had 3,465 hits. I did not know that. I knew he was in the 3,000. I did not know he had climbed the list so high. He's number 6 all time. Let's get Derek down in here. Top 5, people. Top 5, and I had nothing to find of Mr. Tris Speaker other than 2 reprint cards. The Ted Williams here, and then the Swell card again. Same photo. Same photo, that's all I have of him, and he is listed at 3,514 hits. Tris Speaker. Now, the top 4 are as big as they come as far as names go. I do have a couple other reprints, but I do not have any playing cards from his playing days. I'm sorry, Mr. Stan Musial. This is about one of the cooler photos I have of him on one of these Fleer Traditions. I mean, the guy could hit. There's no denying that. 3,630 hits. Mr. Stan the Man Musial. Going into the top 3, and these, they don't come. Mr. Hank Aaron. Yes, he could hit home runs. Yes, he had tons of RBIs. Here he is on the Baseball Heroes card, saying the 3,000 hit there in the top corner. And I have one this is my coolest one I could find of him, the 66 home run leaders. Picked it up at a card show, pretty cheap, but it has Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Richie Allen in the middle. It's like, come on, all-time Hank Aaron, I'll take it. In second place with 4,189 hits. And that record stood for a long time, and like a couple other players, I had to dig into my reprint versions of my here he is as a cartoon. Look at that, 12 batting titles in 13 years. Who does that? This is about the closest thing I could find to an actual photo. Legends of the Game, kind of a top celebrating year, or celebrating of the, the players of old. And then I found him on that Ted Williams card. Look at that smile. Oh man, he could do it all. Batting average, stolen bases, runs, steals, and there are tons of stories of him being just ruthless on the base path. And in first place all time, I just chose 2 cards that are kind of random. Mr. Pete Rose. Got this 86 Leaf I thought was kind of cool with the hit number there. You can see 4191 tying Cobb, 4192 breaking Cobb's record. And I thought this was kind of cool. It's a 1975. I don't really know what it is, but here he had 2,300 hits. Just a pretty cool old Reds card. And then just to throw in that little asterisk about Ichiro, his 43.57 would be more than Pete Rose if you combine his Japan totals plus his MLB totals. They're all professional hits. It's just kind of it's a cool thing that not many people know. Ichiro played for just a minute here in the MLB and finished up with in 23rd place with 3,089 hits. So pretty cool. 33 players, 26 are in the Hall of Fame. Pujols and Miggy are the somewhat active players in this club as of today, 2023. I know Pujols said he retired, but the season hasn't started yet, so I do think this is a cool series. I'm looking into those magic numbers of the MLB, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Check out the other three if you did, and we will see you next time.